The rain poured heavily over the city, washing the streets clean yet failing to ease the burden in Emily Carter's heart. She stood in front of the gleaming skyscraper, her hands trembling as she clutched the fragile envelope against her chest. It contained the truth, one she had long prepared to reveal but never had the courage to. Until now. Emily took a deep breath, stepping through the grand entrance of Blackwell Enterprises. The vast lobby was a world apart from the tiny apartment she called home, a reminder of the gap between her life and the one she was about to confront. Security guards eyed her, but she straightened her shoulders and approached the receptionist. "I'm here to see Mr. Blackwell," she said, her voice steady despite her shaking knees. The receptionist, a polished woman in her 50s, glanced at her from behind gold-rimmed glasses. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," Emily admitted, gripping the envelope tighter. "But it's urgent." His wife, she hesitated, knowing the next words would open wounds. "His wife, Olivia, hired me before she died." The woman's eyes flickered with something, surprise, curiosity, or perhaps recognition. Emily wasn't sure. But after a brief hesitation, the receptionist picked up the phone, murmured something, and then nodded toward the elevator. "Go to the top floor." Emily exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. This was it. Inside the CEO's office, Alexander Blackwell stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, his silhouette outlined against the stormy sky. The billionaire CEO was known for his sharp mind, ruthless business tactics, and icy demeanor. But those who truly knew him, few as they were, understood that since his wife's passing, he had become a ghost of himself. He turned when the door creaked open. His piercing blue eyes landed on the young woman standing hesitantly at the threshold. She was small, her clothes modest, her brown hair damp from the rain. She looked nervous, but her gaze was unwavering. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice edged with impatience. Emily swallowed hard, then stepped forward. "My name is Emily Carter. Your wife. Olivia, she hired me as a surrogate before she passed away." For the first time in years, Alexander Blackwell forgot how to breathe. The room fell into absolute silence. Alexander stared at Emily as if she had spoken in a foreign tongue. "My wife. Olivia." His voice cracked slightly. "She what?" Emily hesitated before pulling out the envelope. "Before she died, she arranged for a surrogate pregnancy. She wanted to give you a child, even if she wouldn't be here to see them born." His heart pounded against his ribs. Olivia. His Olivia. Even in death, she had found a way to leave him with something, a piece of her, a legacy of their love. He reached for the envelope with unsteady hands, unfolding the delicate paper inside. Olivia's handwriting danced across the page, and as he read, his vision blurred. "My love. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I'm sorry. I wish I could have stayed longer, but life had other plans for me. I wanted to give you something to hold on to, something to love. Our child." The letter detailed everything. Olivia had chosen Emily carefully, a young woman with a kind heart and a struggling life, yet one willing to carry a child for another out of pure selflessness. "I didn't know if I should come," Emily admitted, breaking the silence. "I was scared. I don't belong in your world. But this baby, he's yours." Alexander's hands clenched the letter. He had built his empire on control, on mastering the unpredictable. Yet nothing had prepared him for this moment. Then Emily did something that shattered him. She placed her hand over her belly. "Would you like to feel your son?" His breath caught. Son. He had a son. With slow, hesitant steps, he approached, kneeling slightly as Emily guided his hand to her stomach. The warmth of life radiated beneath his palm. Then, suddenly, a tiny kick. A sound escaped him, a mix of a sob and a laugh. Days turned into weeks. Alexander, a man who once dismissed personal attachments, found himself drawn to Emily's resilience and the unborn child growing inside her. He arranged for her to stay in a safer home, ensured she received the best medical care, and began visiting regularly. Yet, Emily never asked for anything in return. She had come from nothing and expected nothing. One evening, as they sat in Olivia's old garden, she turned to him. "Why are you doing this? You don't have to be involved." Alexander looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Because Olivia wanted this child to have love. And I won't fail her." Emily nodded, understanding. But something unexpected had begun to bloom between them, not love, not yet, but something close to it. Months later, the day finally came. The hospital room was filled with the sound of a newborn's cries. Alexander held his son for the first time, tears slipping down his face as he whispered, "You're my greatest gift." Emily, exhausted but smiling, watched the way his walls crumbled completely. "Olivia would be proud," she murmured. He turned to her, his eyes filled with something unspoken. "You gave me back my heart," he said softly. "And I'll never let you feel alone again." Tears filled Emily's eyes. She had thought she was just a surrogate, a bridge between a past love and a future legacy. But in giving life to another, she had unknowingly found a family. Years later, their son ran across the same garden where Emily and Alexander once spoke about fate and love. Alexander, no longer the cold businessman he had been, watched with warmth in his eyes. Emily sat beside him, their hands brushing. "Do you ever think Olivia is watching?" Alexander smiled softly, looking up at the sky. "I know she is." And somewhere, perhaps beyond the clouds, Olivia smiled too.